So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. All right, Rockstar Nation, we have a great guest coming out of Loudoun County, Virginia from Pearson Smith Realty, who is absolutely crushing it. Gina Tufano is on the line, and she's a first-time guest, and we are going to get deep into what she's doing to make a lot of money and sell a lot of houses and have an incredible life at the same time. So hold on to your seats. It's going to be great. Gina, welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Hi, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Gina, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself so they get to know you better?
I'm a single mom of 3 boys. My oldest is 24. My youngest is 7. So I am all over the map.
Wow.
Yep. I've been in an elementary school PTA for decades now.
Never ends, right?
No, it just keeps going. Dog, cat, run a real estate team, 2 agents, and 2 admin is the bulk of us. We have a few helpers that come in, 1099s, but there's 4 of us. We're pretty solid. I like to travel, like to work, like to live.
That's awesome. So let's get some nitty gritty. Like, how many houses did you sell in the last 12 months?
We helped 84 families last year.
Sweet. And what is your ECI, Gina, your ego commission income, total gross?
I don't have the team. I only have my numbers, so I have no way to
Okay,
add.
so like you have 2 agents.
I don't have her numbers. I only have mine. I was 500K.
You okay? So how's that work? Like your 500K, is that are you taking out your profit from them, or?
So it's split at the broker level. So that's my percentage of whatever she sold, but I don't have her number. So if you're looking at what the team did.
Yeah. Okay. So you get, so let's say you get, 50% of what she got. That's in that 500K is what I'm getting at.
Yes. That 50% is in there, but her 50% is not. So team total is not there.
And what kind of splits are they on?
It depends on if it's a team generated lead or from her sphere. So she's 50-50 for team generated and 75-25 from her sphere. She has no broker split on top of that. So it's only split with me.
Okay. And, all right. So, it could be another couple 100,000, right?
Yeah.
If she made
Yeah.
200.
We're probably 7. Would be
Okay.
my guess.
And then what is your profit margin?
It's not good as per our budget description. I didn't do that number because I didn't want to answer the question. On the 500K, I walked away with about 150, which is not good.
So let me ask you, and I appreciate you being candid about this because this is important for people to learn. So, right. So let's say that's 20%, right? You're like not that good. Well, did the 2 agents that work for you on your team make more money than you?
Maybe.
And then so talk to me about that. I mean, is that okay with you?
No, not at all. This year, so we did some big changes last year, about 15 months ago. We got a legit accountant. Now, having a legit accountant doing all my books, doing my payroll, doing my numbers, I was getting profit and loss statements every month, which I did not want to look at. But having that data in front of me has helped throughout the year. I could see I've always flown by my intuition, not by, as long as there's money, as long as I can do what I want, we're fine. But looking at it, so at the end of the year when we sat down and I looked at some pretty big numbers of what I spend money on, and that's where the whole budget came about. I'm like, I need boxes, and I feel so much more powerful having limits. I feel so much more purposeful having limits, and I'm super excited as to what is going to come about. You can't fix what you don't know, and I didn't want to look at it, so I paid someone else to look at it, and then he pretty much forced me to look at it. and having it right there in black and white, I can't ignore it anymore. It's not
Well,
like,
I like that you shared this, and I think a lot of people can learn from it. I mean, some people might say, "Hey, well, a prophet is terrible on this, and she should be making more." But then I want other people to look at it and say, "No, let's kind of learn from someone going through this process." Because I think all agents at some point in their career, I know I went through this 2 or 3 times in my career where I actually had to sit back and say, "Holy dirt!" I'm working all these hours, and I'm creating this egotistical facade out there. But when you lift up and look under the hood, um, my profit is terrible. I mean, I wrote about that in my book. There was one point where I was like agent of the quarter or something, and I hadn't made a penny, and out of like 50 agents, and I thought I was hot shit, but it was all a big joke. So what did you discover when you popped open the hood of the car, which you refused to do for a period of time?
decades.
What did you find?
I found that I tended to, my intuition was okay. We weren't in debt. I was living the life I wanted. Everything was okay, which I think is the worst thing that you can have, because if everything is okay, it's not great, Like, by not that bad means it's not that good either. And that's kind of what I found. And I saw some big gaping holes the minute I opened it.
Like what?
$55,000 in marketing, and I didn't even know. I mean, there were charges for $2,500. I had no idea what it was.
What? Like, yeah. Well, like, give me some example. Like, how does that get away? Like, people listening to this might be like, "Well, she spent almost, $5,000 a month. What were you spending it on?"
Different marketing things. I used little Bluetooth these things that tell you when you're somewhere that we can use at open houses. I thought it was a really great idea. We got no traction off of it after 3 or 4 months, but I still had it and never canceled it. Stuff
and
like
what
that.
is it?
It was a little beacon, like a Bluetooth beacon. It sounds great. I love the idea. I still do. And it will broadcast to any nearby phone saying, "Hey, mine said there's an open house with the address and a link to our marketing page." Sounds awesome, right?
How does it broadcast? It texts people around
automatically. Yeah. If their Bluetooth has to be enabled and something else has to be enabled. It hits about 40% of the people in my test, like when I walk around the office.
So it's like a spam, like all of a sudden, boom, it hits up. Is it a notification on the phone or is it a text?
It's a notification.
And it says open house on 123 Umpty Ump Street.
Well, mine says, "Psst, there's an open house down the street." Yeah. With the address.
I never heard of that. It's kind of like a geofield that I didn't know.
It's awesome, isn't it? I thought it was great. I spent a lot of money. But you didn't
sell any houses from it?
Not a single one. I probably got a few listings because I was so excited about it. I told all my sellers about it.
Oh, I see. And your enthusiasm came through, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's going to work." But of course,
no, it didn't work at all. But it's
what's it called? Like what's that thing called?
Asriva, ASRIVA, I believe.
Okay. All right. What else? What else did you blow money on?
What else did I blow money on? What didn't I? Conference I didn't attend that I paid for.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One of those I'm looking at right now, actually.
I did. Oh, I spent $5,000 to have someone set up Facebook squeeze pages for me, and the lead gen page to have somebody else do it because I didn't feel like I had the time to understand it, and I knew that it would work. So I paid the money, $5,000 for the setup and whatever the monthly cost is for the page, and great idea, right? But did I ever learn how to use it? No. Did I ever
implement it?
They implemented it, but I didn't manage it, so it wasn't really right. Like it needed a little bit. I didn't manage it correctly, so that was all. After a couple months, I'm like, I'm not going to keep paying for this, and it just died. Like stuff like that. That's
so the cool thing is that like I see a lot of agents that have this issue, right? They're not like hyper vigilant on the squirrels running around and the new products and so what do you think the root of that is?
It's more exciting to look at the new thing than to fix what you have or to do the nitty gritty, to pick up the phone and knock on a door. It's more exciting. shiny object
You
syndrome.
get kind of a rush, right?
Yeah,
You get an endorphin hit
it's
when
like
you
a drug.
buy. It's like spending. It's like, why do people shop and why do people buy stuff on the internet? Why do people, look at constant notifications on their phones that are
It's a
not
distraction.
relevant to life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a distraction.
Well,
It's
that's awesome.
what
So then you had a Serenity Now moment,
hmm
and you hired somebody to just kind of take your books and
that was
scream
last
at
about a
you.
year and
Tell
a
me
half.
about this.
I couldn't. I knew I needed someone better than me. It's not my 20% at all. But I still didn't want to see it. It still took me a year and a half to do something with that information. It was at our year-end review after a full solid year of having it that I was like, okay, we need to fix this. So, but during that year, I would dread the profit and loss calls. Well, when we had our calls, I would dread them. I did not want to know what I spent money on. I was more than enough happy running the business. Everything was okay. So if I wanted a new car or I wanted to do something, I'm like, oh, we'll just sell another house. And that's no way to live. It's just no way to live.
Yeah, and it's delusional too, because the thing with real estate commissions is, in most markets, no matter what, they're big commissions compared to car sales or compared to computer sales or whatever else someone could be selling. So when you get a check, it's pretty fat, and you're like, "Hey, I'm rich. I
No,
can
but
afford."
we have a longer sales cycle. Oh, sales cycle. We can't do that. We're not going to sell
Right.
5 houses in one day. I mean, you do every once in a while, but not
So
really.
so tell me about now. Like, take me to today. What are you doing to stay focused, stay productive, stay purposeful, and stay away from the shiny objects? Teach us.
It's the having the box. I am so excited. So, this having a box is new to me. And so if I have $10,000 a year that I can spend on whatever, I'll look at my numbers. I'll even tell you what they are. I have an
Yeah,
okay
that'd be
list.
awesome. So
I have an
explain box. What do you mean by box?
I consider it a box. So the amount of money I have each year in my head, I'm kind of visual. The amount of money I have to spend on Facebook ads, business cards, signs. I spent $3,500 in business cards last year.
Hey guys, as you know, my book, 6 Steps to 7 Figures, has been a New York Times bestseller and a USA Today bestseller with over 30,000 copies sold to real estate agents and real estate investors alike. And listen, I have decided to do something really special here. I am going to give away 200 copies. Yes, I'm going to give away 200 copies that I have. And all you need to do to get one is to go to free6stepsbook.com. That's free6stepsbook.com, all spelled out, SIX, stepsbook.com. And you can fill out a form, and all you need to do is pay the shipping and handling, and I'm going to send you that book absolutely free. Or simply text the word PAT to 444-999. My goal is for you to have this book if you haven't read it yet. An absolute must for any real estate agent's library. 6 Steps to 7 Figures, a real estate professional's guide to building wealth and creating your destiny. Just go to free6stepsbook.com and fill out the form, and I will send it to you absolutely free. Or simply text the word PAT to 444-999. That's PAT to 444-999. Who does that? What do you I haven't had a business card in 5 years. I mean, what do you use business? I mean,
I like the Moo cards that are really thick with all the different pictures on them, and I do hand them out, and they have my kids on them, and I think it's great. And,
yeah, that's definitely endorphin rush, because you could text, somebody, your card on your digital card on your iPhone now, or Android too.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and that's free. And then
I know
that way
nobody
they
looks
save
at
it
it.
and
I
you
just do
save
it
it.
to
You
give them
save
pictures of
theirs.
my kids. I think I do it to give pictures of my kids. But so I
Probably.
drew boxes, or what I think of as boxes. So
Yeah.
I'm allowed to spend $33.50 on logo things. $3,350 this year on things with my logo. So what I used to do
That's
is say,
interesting.
oh, we need a giveaway. Let's do those water bottles. Oh, let's do those wine openers. Let's get these pens. And I would just give people crap, whether they wanted it or not.
Right. Because you think that it's quote unquote branding.
Right. And so I'm like, no, I still think it's important. You know, we give out really nice pens. They're all over the community. We leave them in the post office, the nail salons. You know, people, we're kind of known for it. I get pictures of my pens all the time. It's a thing, right? So the pens got to stay. And then other logo things, well, we'll all, you know, we do have some branded shirts and stuff like that. So that falls in that category. But
if you spend it by March 12th, then you're done for the year.
Right. And I won't spend it by March 12th because I do really good with boxes. So This is how much I have to spend, and I'm going to be really purposeful. Ooh, if we get that, then I can't. If we do X, I can't do Y. And now looking at it that way, instead of just thinking, oh, do we have it? Are we flush this month? Okay, buy it. That was how I did it.
Yeah. That's interesting. And then, okay, so what other boxes did you draw?
Okay, so last year in events, I spent $33,000.
Gee whiz, events, 33,000. Yeah, you know, this is an interesting conversation.
This is not what I
right
thought.
Here about events, because I've had some situations recently where I'm finding people in my world, you know, who are spending a lot of time learning, right? Like going to events, watching videos online. You know, and I run an online learning company, and I think it's great to learn online, but I also think that everything in moderation, including moderation, you know, I mean, like some people have a learning curve of 3 or 4 hours a day in learning.
Yeah,
if you average it out, or monthly events, like they'll go to one event a month that lasts all week, and I almost think that's just like too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's not the kind of event I was talking about. I'm sorry. I meant client event. Client appreciation.
Oh, okay. My bad.
The other way.
Whoops, sorry. Sidetrack. But anyways, that's my thought. It's an interesting concept, but go ahead.
We spent $9,000 on what you're talking about.
$9,000. Okay.
Yes. I thought that was kind of.
And some of them you didn't go to.
Well, yeah, that one. But that includes coaching, and, you know, there's a bunch of us. I thought that was a reasonable
I mean,
number.
I think events are great. Don't get me wrong. And I attend probably one a quarter, but I know some people that attend, you know, one a month, and I think that's too much. But go ahead. Okay, yeah. Tell me about the client appreciation events.
$33,000.
How'd you fix it?
Yeah. We had 3 big events that ate up we did one in the spring, one late summer, one at Christmas. They ate up a ton of time, a ton of energy, took us off our focus to get it up and running. We hired out lots of pieces of them. We decided that next year I can only spend $5,000. So suddenly I start thinking, I get creative. What can I do for $5,000 to give back to my clients? It's only going to be one event. How can I hit almost all of them? You know, instead of I had like an adult one, a family one, you know, I had all this, and everything had to be the best. But how can I make it more purposeful? How can I make it more meaningful? If I really want to connect with my clients, is which one of those I can draw from my experience, which one of the things I've done in the past have worked. And I think we're just going to host one event in the summer, because we did a pig roast. That was probably it was for families, so we had the biggest attendance. We'll repeat the pig roast. We'll ditch the fancy steakhouse, you know, meal where everybody ate lobster. We're going to ditch the Christmas party. And I'll have, if there's any more money left over, if I can host the pig roast, then I want to just have one-on-one drinks, coffees, you know, meeting my top 5 clients that way. Okay.
Well, that's good. That's reasonable. All right. Give me one more. What else did you cut?
My donations, which is that was bittersweet to me, because I like to give money out, but I was spending, you know, $15,000, and it wasn't purposeful. It was just anybody who asked me to donate to anything, I said yes. That was my role. I would say yes, and you get $100, like everybody.
And that's a hard one too, right? Because it's kind of like the learning. You got to learn, and you got to go to events, and you got to, you know, learn online and stuff. But you can't overdo it. And the same thing with charity. I mean, it's great to give, but at the same time, if you're making, if at the end of the day, after you pay your taxes and stuff,
Well, if I'm saying yes to everything, am I really saying yes to anything? So it's being more purposeful. If I just donate to every single person who asks, because that was my rule. My rule was if you asked me, I said, yes, I support you. So then I'm supporting things that I may or may not believe in. I don't even know what these charities are.
Right. Yeah. Or how they're run or.
Yeah, I'm not doing any research. Is my money doing the most good? Is it doing the best it can do? And I think that's what this whole budget experience has been for me. I'm living a life that I love, but it could be so much better if I put, I don't know. I feel like I make these boxes. I keep calling them boxes. I have a donation bucket. I have $5,000. That's all I have this year.
And that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a third of what I was doing.
Third of what you're doing still.
How can I do the most good with that $5,000? Suddenly my decisions will be more purposeful.
I almost think you do one, this is just me, one charity that's really close to your heart where you also volunteer, you know what I mean? So you get to know the people and understand the people, and then everything else you say, no, all my money goes to XYZ.
Right. No, and that's the whole purpose of the boxes. So that's what we're looking at this year.
So let's talk a little bit about your time management and you're going off the grid. Your vacations. I know you travel once a month.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Where do you go? Why do you do this? How do you do it?
So about 5 years ago, I had not been on a vacation in 10 years.
Really? So you were just like a typical workaholic real estate agent. And you've been licensed since 93, right? So you've got that work ethic. Right, a hardcore. I
started before anybody. Yeah, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and you had to learn for yourself, and people covered their papers, and there was no sharing, and having this was,
Yeah, I started in '87, so I know exactly what you mean. So you came out of that era where you every real estate agent that was successful was a workaholic. So you took that with you, and then all of a sudden you didn't take a vacation for an entire decade. And then what happened? Did you have like a mental breakdown and just like serenity? Now this is it. I'm taking a vacation a month. I mean, that's a big shift.
It happens over the course of about a year. I went on a vacation, a big 2-week European vacation. My first time out of the country, not counting Canada and Mexico, because my first time overseas. And I'm in my mid-30s. I had never traveled. I had never been outside. I took my kids. It was a big 2-week trip. And I just realized that the world was so much bigger than I ever thought it was. I grew up outside of New York City. I live outside of DC. I've been in what I thought was like, the center of the universe my whole life. So when I realized just how much bigger the universe was, it blew my mind. I knew I wanted to do it again. So the next year I did another 2-week thing, but each 2-week trip was hard. It was hard to go off the grid. It was hard to leave the business and step out for that long. It was very disruptive. And I'm like, there has to be a better way. And I can't even remember the first trip, but I remember the first time I sat down in the beginning of the year. I printed out each month of the year, and I kind of planned what I call a life plan instead of a business plan. Where am I going? What am I reading? What am I learning? And how is it gonna, and all my kids' stuff is on there. I mean, I have 3 kids. That was crazy, but how is it all gonna happen? When do I get to work on the business? When do I get to work on me? When do I get to have fun? And I started plugging trips in, and it was so neat, thinking if I can go on a trip a month. So one year I hiked the Grand Canyon. I went to Hawaii. I did a bucket list of the last 3 states of the US so that I had been to all 50. I mean, I just started traveling, and it was neat. So people would talk about a trip. I discovered all the websites to get cheap trips, and luckily we do have a flexible schedule in real estate, so I'm not tied to specific days. And if I can fly to Chile for $300 round trip, I'm going. Suddenly like, oh, I don't have a trip yet in March, I'm going to go in March. And it has been amazing. I have made friends all over the world. I was with Keller Williams for the longest time, and I was dropping off copies of the MREA in Greece, and trying to launch an international division over there. Everything just sort of flows, getting referrals from my driver in Iceland who has a friend in California. Like the whole world is connected, and I thrive on that. That makes me so happy.
And you go on these by yourself? You bring your family, like, or a mixture of them? What
It's a
are you doing?
mixture. It's sometimes I just went to Fiji all by myself. That was a little scary. It was far away.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend I travel with a lot. I take my kids when it works. The big age gap, I can go on trips separately. I'll take the older one. I'll take the younger one. You know, sometimes we go to Legoland. Sometimes it's the old. I hike the Grand Canyon, my oldest. So we were down hiking the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I could definitely do that with a 24-year-old.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but
So,
figuring
and
that out,
it's once a month, huh?
once a month, it's 5 days. It's easy. It really is easy. It's 5 days. What
Now,
do you do?
do you log out from your phone and emails, or are you checking that during these trips, or what's your protocol?
I usually check if I like going west because the time difference works really well. I can work, like in Hawaii, it's 6 hours earlier than where I am. I don't adjust to the time zone that I'm traveling to. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning in Hawaii. That would be like sleeping late here, you know, because it would be 9 a.m. in my internal clock. And I work for 5, 6 hours until everybody wakes up. It's like working the bulk of the day in Virginia. Nobody knows I'm gone. Like, it's easy. And then I have the whole rest of the day to do whatever I want. It's amazing. I love it. Hawaii is my favorite place to go to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about your business a little bit, right? Like, what percentage of your business is SOI? Imagine being in business for so long. You've got a pretty large percentage, right?
Yeah, we're about 85 to 90%. We
Really?
fluctuate.
So pretty much, that's a funny thing, right? You don't need all that BS. You don't need all that crap that you spend money on because your business is free because it's coming from SOI.
Right. Well, that's why we upped our client events. It was actually using that thinking that we massively increased our client events, our client appreciation, and I don't think I did it smart. I just did it to do it. So,
Yeah.
but yes, no, we get a lot just from being around and doing a good job.
So, like, do you know how many people you have on your list?
In my database,
Yeah, in your database that might, do you mail stuff to them? Do you call them? Like, how do you stay in touch with them besides the events, or is it just the events?
no, so we just switched our CRM. We go through and we touch everybody on their house anniversary, on their birthday. They're all personalized. Birthdays, they get a phone call. House anniversary, they get a text. There's about 7,000 people in the database, but there's about 1,500 that are in our A list. So people that we really want to talk to. They pop up every 3 months for us to connect, aside from their birthday and their house anniversary. And at that 3 months, it's whatever's going on. It's almost like one long conversation. How are the kids? What are you doing? Do you want to go out to dinner? You want to grab some coffee? Are you in town? What's going on? We also have a concierge who works part-time who calls through the database. That's just her job. Instead of an ISA, because we did this whole client focus thing like a year and a half ago, we have her call through the database just to check in on people. She's not salesy, but we get a lot of stuff, I think, because of that. So she's like, oh, we still care about you after your transaction. How can we help? What do you need? And we find ourselves doing all sorts of, weird referrals from that. But what we generate is loyalty. And we just hear repeatedly, like, oh, she helped me find a doctor for my mother who took Medicare when she moved to the area, and we won't use anyone but Gina. Like, those are the stories she kind of, oh, she said I had to use you because you called her 6 months later and helped them with their floor issue from the builder. Like, that's the concierge check-in. So they get hit probably 6 times by the agents, at least once by the concierge.
Hey, real estate rock stars, this is Pat Hyben, and before we jump back into today's content, I want to tell you about an extraordinary offer from an extraordinary company. I'm talking about My Outdesk. If you haven't heard of My Outdesk, basically they're a virtual assistant company, a VA company that specializes in virtual assistants for real estate agents. Yeah, I'm talking about transaction coordinators, marketing assistants. I'm talking about ISAs, inside sales agents that prospect thousands and thousands of seller leads and buyer lead follow-ups. I mean, these guys are trained in this stuff specifically You're not using a company that doesn't know or understand real estate sales. 4 out of 5 of the top teams in the US use My Outdesk for their virtual assistants. And because I know the owner, Daniel Ramsey, I've known him for over a decade, and I know how awesome and incredible this company is and how it saves agents thousands and thousands of dollars every single week and makes them thousands and thousands of more every single week, we're going to give you a $400 coupon off of your first month of a virtual assistant and give you a free book entitled Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. So you can like read it and look into it before you decide anything. It's called Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And you can get it real easy. All you got to do is text the word HIBAN, H-I-B-A-N, to 31996. That's H-I-B-A-N to 31996. And download your free book, Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And don't forget to mention also that you get a $400 discount, which will give you a coupon for that when you download the book. Thank you, guys, and I hope you enjoy and make a ton of money using My Outdesk. 6 times by the agents, at least once by the concierge. And you have your two buyer agents calling them, or tell me about that.
We call whoever used you. Like if they sold it, they call them. If the agent's not with me,
what about if it's you?
I call them.
You call them.
I call
okay.
or text. Yeah.
And then,
I
and
like
you have
my
it.
people.
What's that?
I like my people.
You like your people, and so is this something you're doing every day?
Pretty much. It can skip a few days. The tasks will add up, so I get my tasks every day. Our standard for the team is we have to clear them out every day. You're not allowed to have, or the weekends you can, but you're not allowed to have overdue tasks.
So they show up a task that just says, hey, follow up with XYZ, and
yep.
And it has to be done by the end of the week.
Well, it's supposed to be done every day. You're supposed to be even, but we're pretty good with it. Right now we have 0 tasks. Yesterday I had 9 I had to catch up on.
All right. So before you left, you had to call 9 past clients and
yep, and just check in.
Check in how you're doing. Everything okay?
What's going on? How's your new year?
Yeah, and the text is easy, right? I mean, the text is a no-brainer. I don't know why everybody, out there isn't just massively like texting 24/7, right? Because it's so easy, and people have such trouble with the picking up the phone and calling. Well, most consumers prefer text anyway, so
yeah. The text, I'll go into my tasks. So if I'm going to travel, I'll go into my upcoming tasks, and I'll send out all the texts for everybody that I need to touch, and you can schedule it to go out on the right day. Like, so I'm not hitting them or when I'm working in Hawaii, with the weird time zones, I can set it to go at the right time at home. So I just sit there and do a massive check-in. I go through my tasks. I check in with people. I check in with the agents. How are your contracts doing? I just check in with everything. My sellers, how's it going? I can schedule all those out. So I kind of I chunk them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So 25 years in the business, let's say you're looking back right at yourself 25 years ago. What advice would you have to yourself now that you've been doing this 25 years and you've learned and you've failed and you've succeeded?
25 years. What would I tell myself now? That was not on your list.
Well, it's kind of like, our flagship questions, which is how are you going to beat out other agents in today's market, Right.
I think I did a lot of things right. I just did them too slow. I run a decent business. I make, everything could be done a little bit better. I was very slow in my decision making. So I am not your quick, I didn't get my license and become a top producer overnight. It took me 10 years to hire my first assistant. I was scared to death to pay someone else to take on that responsibility. I let fear hold me back for quite some time. So I think I did it all a little bit too slow, and I wish I had a little more faith in myself. I wish I was a little more willing to try, because falling down, isn't, you just get back up. You didn't die, it's okay. And I was so afraid to fail. I moved very slowly to build the team to where it is. So I would wish I had a little more faith.
A little more faith in yourself.
Yep. And a little less fear. I didn't let the fear hold me back. Because ultimately I ended up doing all those things anyway that I was afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about this since that was more of an overall theme of the 25 years, if it was one thing. But let's talk about exact hardcore, like I'm going to succeed and I'm a brand new agent sort of thing. Let's say that I took you and I put you with 9 other agents on an island, and on that island, right, there were people buying and selling houses. There's a lot of money flowing around. The thing with you and the other 9 agents is you don't know anybody. Now I'm going to give you each $1,000. I'm going to give you each a cell phone. I'm going to give you each a laptop. I'm going to say, okay, you guys got each of you guys, you all have 6 months. Whoever sells the house, most houses in this 6-month period gets a $5 million prize. How are you going to win that $5 million prize?
I loved this question, and from where I sit now, I would totally win that prize. I love that question. I would do my little research first, and I would find what sells the quickest, what has the best, like what market is primed to sell now. If they haven't moved in a long time, are they ready to go? Is there, is it a small neighborhood with a move up? I would do my homework because farming is how I built my business. So I would do my homework. I would pick my farm by who I thought was not saturated by one agent. I want one that's got a whole bunch of different agents so the neighborhood's not loyal, the community's not loyal. I want a high enough turnover, but not like en masse, because if they typically sell 10 houses a year and they just sold 20, I don't want that neighborhood. But if they typically sell 10 houses a year and they only sold 3 last year, that's my neighborhood. If those 3 houses were 3 different agents, oh yeah. And then I'm going there and I'm going to teach them who I am. I'm not using that $1,000 until I get my first listing because I'm going to need it to market it. So in order to do that, I'm going to door knock. I'm going to, hang out at the grocery store. I'm going to host open houses for other agents in the neighborhood. I'm going to do anything I can to get my foot in the door and get to know someone there. Once I know someone there, I'm going to see what they need. Whether or not they're a seller, I'm going to get their story. That's what I always tell my new agents. Get their story. Find out what they need. Find out how you can help them. And then you will get a raving fan, whether they use you or not, and ask for the business. New agents are afraid to ask. If you just ask, hey, do you know anyone who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate today? I mean, it doesn't have to be quite that cheesy, and you don't that's not how you, hi, my name is Gina. Do you know that you don't do that? But you ask them, what's going on? How can I help you? What, and then they'll say, how can I help you? What do? You have those questions. And I'm in real estate. Do you know anyone looking? This neighborhood's great. There's a new listing just down the street because I did my homework. I know the neighborhood. And I will connect myself into a community in that island. I will take over it and I will win your prize. But I'm saving that $1,000 for marketing because when you get that listing, you need to do it right. You're not taking pictures with your cell phone. You're presenting. They have one chance to make a good impression. Don't blow it for your client. Do it right.
Yeah, don't let them fire you. That's great. You're the first person that says I'd saved $1,000. I do all the hard work myself, and I'd saved $1,000 for that listing because you build on a success up, not from the ground up, right? So you build from that one listing and then you get more listings because of it, because of the sign you put out, because of the marketing that you do on it. And
how well you did it. Because really,
exactly, and how well you did it, how fast it sold.
Well, how much did you know the community? Did you do your homework? Do the hard work? So I'm looking at my list now. I don't need $3,500 for logo things. I need the money to the photography. What did we spend? Oh, this is my new budget. We spent a ton of money on photography. I want my clients' houses to be portrayed as the best. My fiduciary duty is to get them the most money for their house. I do that by doing my market research, by figuring out who's going to buy it and, market to that person, and by presenting it in the best light. Getting it ready for the prom. I'm going to stage it. I'm going to take its pictures. I'm going to do it right. So that $1,000 is all for my sellers so that I can build a bigger business and have more sellers.
That's awesome. What do you like now on the technology front for real estate agents?
So the new shiny squirrel that I almost got into before I had boxes was chatbots. That excited me. the whole chatbot thing. Do you know the instant messengers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we use them.
Don't tell me that, because I'm trying not to follow the squirrel right now.
Well, no, I mean it's you know, it's just like anything else. They you know, there's tons of stuff out there, and you just have to pick and choose. And I think with an SOI business, like you're building an SOI business, so you probably don't need it. You know what I mean? If you're building a new business model where it's all like new business, where you're buying business, the chatbots are great because they, you know, they keep in touch with a lot of people at a lot of time. But you're building a different model. You're building an SOI business. I don't know if that's
that started from a
chatbot might not be the right thing for that. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so purposeful spending.
Yeah, exactly. Stay focused on your 20%. That's awesome. Well, guys, we're going to put that on hybendigital.com/Gina Tufano, and it's easy. Tufano. hybendigital.com/Gina Tufano. I'm going to put all of Gina's contact information. If you guys want to reach out to her, follow on social media, send her a referral, whatever, it'll all be there. Gina, this has been fun. Look forward to meeting you in person someday, and best of luck in all your future endeavors, and thanks so much for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Had a great convo with you, and I too look forward to meeting you.
Hey, real estate agents and rock stars. If you're getting value out of the content in this episode, make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the little bell icon to be notified about upcoming episodes. And I would also love it if you left a comment and shared the most impactful tips and tactics you've learned from the knowledge shared in this episode, or even maybe make a suggestion requesting a topic of what you'd like to learn in future episodes. I welcome any feedback below. Now, back to the episode. Rockstar Nation, thank you for listening to Real Estate Rockstars. Listen, I need a favor. If you find this free content helpful, if you find our downloadable items from each guest helpful, please, I need you to pull out your pointing finger, yes, the one finger that points at people, and hit subscribe. Yes, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the better we look in the ratings, and the easier it is to get guests like Robert Kiyosaki, Barbara Corcoran, all the players that are on $1 million listing in the different cities. All that stuff makes it easier the more subscribers we get, so please subscribe. And listen, there's a lot of places you can leave comments. There's a lot of places you can like. We're on Facebook. We have an Instagram page. Instagram page is I am Pat Hyben. The Facebook is Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Feel free to leave us comments there. The most popular form of commenting seems to happen on YouTube. Yes, for whatever reason, it's a very open environment. So just go to YouTube and go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Leave us comments there. Some of them we will read on the show. We love your feedback. So thanks, guys, and I hope you are having a great day. Oh, and also, listen, if you're going to subscribe and you haven't already left a review on iTunes, please do that too. Have a great day, and thanks so much, Rockstar Nation. I really appreciate you.